It's unfortunate that I even have to make this intro video, but the video corrupted upon me stopping recording, and there was just nothing we could do to save the vast majority of the video portion, which luckily was just me moving around the tiers and kind of my face with the webcam. So instead, I've recorded B-roll footage of all the courses that are mentioned here, and they'll be played at the corresponding times. I hope you enjoy. Thank you. We are just going to be doing one because we are amateurs. We're not going to be doing anything crazy. We're not golf pros. We're just VR gamers who play Golf Plus. Some of us hit even, like Force and Powell. Hit even. Shoes sometimes hits even. I've hit even twice before. So just keep that in mind. As we're going, we are not experts at Golf Plus or golfing in general. In fact, I think, Powell, are you the only one who has actually played a round of golf?
No, I think Shoes has played one.
I played one course in my life, probably 20 years ago.
I was on the high school team. What can I say?
Oh, whoa! I didn't know we had a varsity. We have a varsity golf member among us. Okay, never mind, guys. This is a professional golf tier list.
Well, he
and
was
it
38 at the time. To be fair,
he still shows up to all the high school events.
he's the towel boy.
But we're just gonna hop in. We're gonna go through these. I think we've all created our own little tier lists. We're just gonna talk about the courses, what we like, what we don't like, and that's gonna be pretty much it. The big thing I wanted to shout out is the hero of this story is Shoes, or his legal name, Fast Shoes, where he writes for Rough Talk VR, does blog posts. You can see that right here, and you can see it in the link in the pinned comment and in the description. If you want to stop listening to us ramble, you can go over there and just get a list straight from the source. The man himself, Shoes. Shoes is getting 100% of commission. I believe that Force has actually decided to donate some money to Shoes after this, just for showing up.
Yeah.
But to introduce everybody, Shoes is on the Rough Talk VR side. I am from the channel you're watching right now. Force, developer is the owner and developer at Deep Dive Interactive, who's created Bocce Time, one of my favorites, and I always shill it on the channel because I love it. And Vengeful Rights. And then Pal, probably receives too much hate in the group chat.
Nothing.
If we're honest.
It's a matter of opinion. Could go either way.
It's a debatable opinion.
There we go.
Oh yeah,
I will say this for Pau. He is probably the most seasoned VR player, or one. I mean, the hours this guy puts in. I mean, you don't touch a flat screen game, right?
This is true. I haven't touched a flat screen game in 2 years now.
That's true. That's crazy, actually. That's
addicted to VR.
I love it. All right, well, let's hop into the VR tier list. I'm going in order of what's on my screen. So first up, we have, regrettably, probably one of my least favorite courses coming up, Pinehurst No. 2.
Oof.
And let me just get up a little bit of Shoes' write-up. I don't know if I believe he sourced these all from himself, but if he got it from somewhere else, he did source all these. The signature holes for every single course. On the Pinehurst No. 2, the par 5 fifth, for decades it was considered one of the great par 4 holes in the world. The par 3 ninth hole and the par 4 18th hole. Pal, you seem like you had opinions. Oh, no, go ahead.
I don't want to jump in. I want to give a credit to golfcoursegurus.com. They are the ones who I got a lot of information from, so I don't know if we got to cut them a slice or if they're going to be a sponsor, but I do want to give credit where credit is due on that.
Well, we'll toss them some money. Why not? We're rolling in it, obviously. Well, Pal, you seem like you had opinions on Pinehurst No. 2. We have 5 tiers going from S, A, B, C, and D. What do you think about Pinehurst No. 2?
It's F for toughness, difficulty, but I'd probably put it in the C or B tier. Really narrow fairways, tough greens to hold. They're always like on mounds, so they roll off.
So you think it's really difficult? It's a really difficult course.
It's the most difficult one, I think. One of at least top 5 most difficult.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with it, Pau. It's a fine course with mediocre graphics. I mean, the challenging greens and amount of trees were cool and interesting, but there's just not enough there to make me load it up too often. I mean, if you like a challenging putting game, then this is the course for you. I'm right there with a B, a C kind of range for me.
Force?
Hard D.
Same.
The hardest of Ds.
Hardest of
It
Ds.
is a difficult course, but I don't find anything about it to be actually interesting. It's pretty much just hit the fairway or you're going to be in one of these ridiculously long side bunkers. And other than that, I didn't find the greens to be particularly fun either, you know? So it's like, I acknowledge the challenge, but I don't actually find it interesting or fun, really.
Yeah, I also think that the colors in the course as a whole are super drab. And are just not, it's not enjoyable to look at as a whole. I don't love going into Pinehurst number 2. So we're going to put it at a C. We got two, I think we got 2 probably B, C's from Pow and Shoes. But I also rank it hard D. So we're going to go C. I could see it dropping as we go through the list.
It might.
It just might. But all right, so now we're on to TPC Scottsdale. Signature holes are the par 3 16th hole that transforms into the Coliseum during tournaments and provides fans with one of the most exciting settings in professional sports. I have actually not played TPC Scottsdale, so I'm going to toss it over to y'all. Forrest, what do you think about Scottsdale?
I like Scottsdale a lot. I put it in A tier. It's a fun course, and that 16th hole is, you know, iconic. It really does sort of elevate it.
Choose, what do you think?
100%. I mean, absolutely agree on the A tier. That hole 16 par 3, the Coliseum, if you haven't seen it, you Google it, you'll find a picture. Like, the crowd is all around you. You feel the pressure to perform. I mean, they really capture the magic of that hole when you're there making that shot. Like, I feel like I'm there. Like, it's so well done. Super immersive course. The front 9, I didn't keep my attention for the whole course. But the back 9, though, that's where it really does all the heavy lifting. The back 9, just tons of fun. 10 on, it's great. So,
I like it, pal. Are you gonna fight the A, or do you think it deserves the A spot?
It's an S or an A plus. What is it? Double A or A?
It's S is the top tier. S is the best tier, and then A is second tier.
It's between F and A. It's one of my favorite courses. Most vibrant course I think in the game. One of them. Not a difficult course, but there's a lot of risk reward holes too. That's one of my favorite ones to play.
All right, sweet. Well, I'll toss it in A. Sounds like it could go up to S if everyone decides to.
Oh, and you can see the airport too. And there's planes taking off, which is fun.
I like that. I bet that looks good on Quest 3, to be honest, and on Rift. I like playing. I honestly like playing Golf Plus on Rift because it's so pretty.
Never played.
All right. Kiawah Island is next. Number 17, par 3 at the Ocean Course is one of the world's most picturesque golf holes and also one of the most demanding. My personal opinions on Kiawah, it was one of my favorites. It has a lot of really pretty surroundings for me, which as someone who doesn't golf and just really enjoys playing with y'all and other people in Golf Plus, I really like that. The difficulty and the variety of the courses wasn't super deep, but it was good. For me, a solid A tier is where I put Kiawah. Shoes, what do you think?
I hear you on that. For me, the graphics on this course were just not good. I felt it was real sparse and not very immersive. For me, the thing I focused on, the nice thing about it was that each hole was kind of surrounded or guarded by an interesting material or ground. And the front and back 9 were fun. There was kind of some unique twists and turns. Nothing too dramatic. I mean, low A, high B for me.
Pal, what do you think? Kiawah.
I love it only for the fact because Forrest hates it so much. So whenever I want to beat him, I always take him to that course.
Doesn't work. Does not work.
Forrest, how many times has he beaten? How many times has he beaten you on Kiawah, Forrest? Be honest.
You didn't even have to say a Kiawah. You could just stop and beat it with single digits.
That's not true. Not true. But anyways, it's a fun one. I wouldn't go there for my first. Probably a B. I'd say
B.
Okay.
Forrest, where are you putting it?
It's between a B and C. I have it as a C on mine. It's fine. There's nothing like especially bad about it. I don't like how many sort of blind tee shots you have where it's just marsh in front of you. You can't really see much of what you're aiming for. There's not really a lot of landmarks to go by, and the greens are really basic. There's not much break to them or any sort of mound or no, it does have a few sort of like bowl or dome greens, I guess, which is somewhat interesting. But for the most part, they're all very flat, and there's not really too much to look at while you're playing.
The blind tee shots are tough. I will say that because everything is marked. So
There's just not much to aim for. You can't be like, oh, you're aiming for that tree or anything. It's pretty much just flat marshland, and I'm going over that one low poly bush over there, maybe. That's your target.
Maybe in Quest 3 it adds an alligator. That's really the biggest Quest 3 improvement for Golf Plus. But it sounds like we're sitting at B tier across the group as the average. Me and Forrest averaging out our A's and C's. And everyone else going to kind of B area. So I'll toss it in B for now. All right, heading over to East Lake. East Lake, 15th hole is one of the signatures. It's 213-yard par 3. And the first island green in America requires the golfer to fly the ball 200-plus yards over water before seeing any signs of dry land. Pal, you have any opinions on East Lake going into it?
East Lake is my favorite of the new courses by far. I think it's the prettiest one. Maybe other than Kapalua Plantation.
Fair, that one is gorgeous.
East Lake, though, I think is like the only problem with it, though, is it kind of runs into Southwind, Olympia Fields. Those kind of all feel the same to me.
Yeah, one of the things I noted down was that it's a great looking normal golf course. Like it just feels like it feels like a lot of the other golf courses that are in the game, which isn't bad. And the signature actually may bring it over the other ones, but I don't think it's like crazy, like different.
But I will say I think it's the best of the new ones. Though.
I like it. I like it. Force.
Yeah, I have it at B tier. It's like right middle of the road, kind of like you guys said. They all sort of start running together, and even though it looks nice, there's nothing that really sets it apart where I'm like, man, that's such a fun course or a bad course. It's just pretty much right in the middle of the pack.
Choose. What do you think? You kind of have our decider between A and B.
No, well, I'll say the front nine is solid if uninspired. Only a couple of holes take advantage of their great water features. The crowds, houses, environments, like you guys said, super immersive course. But the back nine is kind of up and down. I mean, there's some more interesting holes in the back nine. Really, the only one that stood out to me was 15, which is their incredible signature hole, that island shot. The crowd is ready to say, like, "Oh," when you drop it into the water, So, but great looking course, but some fun holes, but it's just really okay at the end of the day. I put high C, low B. It's on my overall list. It's not that high up. It's pretty low actually. So I'm good moving it around.
You think higher or lower than Kiawah?
Oh, it's lower than Kiawah.
Everyone agree? Any dissenters?
No,
I don't agree with that.
Oh,
better
okay.
Than Kiawah.
Just slightly better than Kiawah.
I'm at A.
We have a split. Oh, you have it in A. Okay, I will.
Oh wow, really?
I'll toss it above. I think we have a general consensus for slightly above Kiawah. So we'll go East Lake over Kiawah. All right. Next up is Valhalla, which is, I believe, Valhalla's a real course. I thought Valhalla was a fake course this whole time. Dude, I definitely made in my courses video. I 100% called this like a fake course that was made. So wow. All right. The signature course is number 13. The limestone hole is the shortest par 4 at Valhalla. A series. A series of 6 bunkers on the left of the driving zone must be avoided. Valhalla is, for me, one of the lowest ranked ones in beauty. In fact, I think it's my lowest ranked one in beauty. No, Pinehurst. Pinehurst is still my lowest ranked in beauty. But I don't really love hopping on Valhalla, and then everything else about it is just normal course. So I kind of go C there. What do y'all think? Any differences?
I agree there.
I have it as a B, sort of middle of the road for me. I really like, I think it's hole 6. It's a super long par 4 that you more or less have to lay up on. And it's really punishing. But it's also fun because if you can hit the ball far, you could potentially jump over that sort of island fairway and maybe shave off a stroke there if you're lucky. But it's nothing beautiful. You know, it's pretty standard. So it's like middle of the road. I put it at like a B tier.
Got it. So you're kind of putting it in between East Lake and Kiawah, you think?
I have it on par with East Lake, just above Kiawah.
All right. Shoes, what do you think?
For me, it's close to East Lake, but spoiler alert for my article, it's the worst for me. It's not very exciting, nor graphically impressive. The trees look terrible, except at the closest distance.
Yeah.
While the back nine is challenging, it's just not terribly exciting past the two kind of interesting signature holes. For me, it's an easy skip. I put it at D tier, but you know, again, I didn't play golf in high school, so.
I do like Valhalla just a little bit better than Pinehurst. I don't love it. So I think I'm going to put it at the top of C tier between all the opinions that we have so far. So it's going to be our second worst thus far.
I'm good with that.
All right. Well, we're moving on to Olympia. Olympia, their signature hole is the 14th hole, 444 yards and a par 4. The 3rd and 14th holes pair up to be one of the most impressive par 4 duos you'll find at a golf course. Pal, what do you think? What do you think about when you think of Olympia Fields? High school?
I like this one a lot. This is a little bit under East Lake for me. But again, it looks a lot like East Lake too. It doesn't really stand out too much, but it's a really tough course. Narrow fairways, tough greens. Really tough greens.
I do like tough greens, but this is not one I've played, so I'm going to have to count on y'all's opinion here.
I'd say A, by the way.
You're going to say A? Force?
I have it as a B tier for this one also, because kind of like we were saying, it does sort of run in to the same feel as a handful of the other ones. It felt like they almost released one course in like 3 parts for a period there. And it's like nothing about it is especially interesting to me. I don't dislike anything about it. It's just not really notable. It's like I could take it or leave it.
Fair.
100% with Force on that. I mean, you know, real lush course, good graphics. The crowd is always interesting. I love that, how they started adding that. Overall, I felt immersed, but aside from just a few holes, it just wasn't terribly interesting. I mean, it was still fun to play at the end of the day, but I wasn't wowed by any of the holes except a couple of the signatures, and real middle of the road for me. It's a B.
You changed your mind. I'm a B2 now.
You're on a B? Everyone's on a B. Shoes, I'm going to give you the right to say this since Powell and Force were able to override Kiawah with East Lake. Are you putting it in front of or behind Kiawah?
It's behind Kiawah.
Behind Kiawah? All right.
Yeah.
That's where it goes. And we're getting to another one that I have not played, so I'm going to be counting on y'all here, is the TPC Southwind. Among the most notable holes at TPC Southwind are the 165-yard par 3 11th hole, considered to be a smaller version of the famous 17th island green at TPC Sawgrass. So wait, what is TPC? Are they all in the same area? What is the
No,
they're all over the country.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Usually means narrow fairways and tough greens.
Ah, do you know what TPC actually stands for?
Tournament Players Club.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Is it? I thought it was like the Players' Choice or Players' Championship.
No.
Hey.
All right, well, I'm going to pop it up. I'm going to do some research, and I'm popping it up there. We'll see who's right. I'm assuming Pal based on his confidence, but you never know.
Oh, shit, now you're making me wonder. Now I'm going to be embarrassed if I'm wrong there.
All right, Shoes, TPC Southwind, where are you putting it?
I mean, I'll just say it's A for me. It's a really solid course with great looking graphics. It's a fun 18. It's an A for me.
All right, Force, what do you think? You going to fight that?
No, I agree. I have it between A and B. It's not, I don't have anything negative to say about it. Just sort of also blended in there with that stretch of them when they were coming out for me. But other than that, I like it.
All right. And Pal, what are you thinking? You going A?
I'm right with Force there. I like it too. I like it a lot still.
Now, what's the consensus on Southwind versus Scottsdale?
I like Scottsdale better.
Same.
I don't, but it's very close. I mean, we're talking like 2 different things, so you can put it up. That's fine by me.
All right, I'm gonna drop Southwind. Wait, yeah, I'm dropping Southwind below Scottsdale for that reason.
I think that's fair.
All right, well, we are on just a absolute heater of courses that I have not played, so I'm sorry about that. The next one is Yale Golf. which is Pal's favorite with a ninth hole, 213-yard par 3. It's the most famous. What is this word? Biarritz? Shoes? Can you explain that to me?
Bless you.
Yeah, that's a hole that's a green that has it goes down. It's like a gully basically on the green. It's really interesting.
The technical definition from the write-up is the green is bisected by a deep swale and protected by bunkers on both sides.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Interesting. All right. Well, I think that Pal has some opinions on this, so I'd like to let him voice first on Yale Golf.
It is the most boring course in the game, and it is number 19 on the list. It should be number 19, not Valhalla. It is just straight. If you drive it a mile, you're going to have a great time. You'll just drive the green every single time. Straight greens, no curves to them. There's nothing difficult about it. It's boring.
And we'll go to the guy who does out drive Pal many a time. Force, what do you think?
This is true.
It's a little short, really easy to drive the greens. I like it a lot. It's an A tier. This is my Kiawah to Pal. We have those in opposite spots. It's just enjoyable. There's a lot of elevation changes to it, and the greens are very interesting. And I think it's hole 10 where there's bunkers directly in front of it, and if you land in them, you have to sort of chip up like 15 yards especially if you have hard pin placements right on the front of a green, which is a hill that rolls back down into those bunkers. So it's very punishing if you can't handle it. But I enjoy it a lot.
All right, you really get to be the decider.
No, I noted hole 10 as well. So I'll say this: when I first played this course when it came out, I was in POW camp. I was super sour on it. I was like, "What is this? It's boring." On revisit though, for this video, I had a really good time and I could appreciate all the nuances. And of note, I put 4 holes that were I could have considered signature holes aside from 9, 9, 10. Like I said, 10, you hit that first shot and then you're looking up at this hill. You're like, how am I going to get, you can't even see the green. How am I going to get up here? You just got to play it. It's just got so much nuance in those greens that I love the course. I fell in love with it. I don't know how I missed it the first time. It's an
all
A-tier for
par
me.
4s, right?
It's largely par 4s, yeah. I think there's 2 par 5s on the whole course.
The signature says that it's a par 3.
There's 3s for sure.
Yeah, there's just no. I should have said no par 5. I didn't think.
I don't know.
I don't know that one off the top of my head.
But it's A-tier for me. It's just a fun course to play that looks good visually for me. Again, on revisit,
yeah,
I could see the fun in it.
Well, double A tiers. Go ahead, Forrest.
No, I was just echoing what she said. There is a lot of nuance to it, and like I said, that 10th green specifically for me, especially if you have the hard pin placements, you have to land the ball pretty much perfectly. If you go past it, you have to putt downhill, and you're basically guaranteed to go off the green. And if you go too short, you're falling directly into the bunker. So it really requires you to have your game dialed in.
All right. Well, I think y'all have convinced me to put it in front of East Lake, and I'm going to put it at top of B tier for now. I think we're going to move some stuff up into S and A as we go, but for right now, I'm going to put it top of B tier. And I think that we're about to get to one that everyone seems to love at least, and that is Wolf Creek course. Signature just says 12th hole, 560-yard shot. There's no secret here that this is actually my favorite course from my previous video, and it has remained my favorite course even in playing a lot of the new videos. So for me, it's an easy S tier, but I would love to hear y'all's opinions on what y'all think about this.
The reason it says signature 12th hole is because this is the closest course you're going to come to saying every hole is a signature hole. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's hole 13 par 4, which has a hidden green, which I know we've talked about that being a bad thing before, but you need to shoot your ball over these red rocks. And speaking of the red rocks, I can't believe this is a real course. To me, this was like a fake course. It feels so surreal with all these red rock canyons. Unique elevation changes are fun. The course is challenging. You got so many options. Am I going to play it safe, or am I just going to go right for the hole? Can I drive it this far? dangerous elevation changes. If you miss the pin, your ball's rolling 20 feet past. I mean, this is absolute S tier. One of the best. I love it.
Force, what do you think?
I agree. It's probably my favorite course as well. Every hole is interesting. There's loads of elevation changes. The greens are really interesting and difficult and punishing depending on where you go, especially if you play on the fastest green speeds. It's borderline impossible. That hole 13, you can
it's crazy.
Roll off the green to the front of the fairway. You can literally miss the hole by 3 inches and end 60 yards away, which is unbelievable. But it's super fun. I would recommend not playing on those green speeds. No. Otherwise, like Shu said, going over the red rocks, there's 2 hidden greens like that, I believe, and they're super enjoyable. And when you do hit a good shot on those holes specifically, I don't think there's any other course in the game that gives you that level of satisfaction.
Pal, you have any reason to make me stop it from going into S tier?
No, it's solid S. Fourth covered what I was going to cover about that one hole, number 13.
But Pal, you actually played it. Yeah, I was going to say.
I did. I was just going to say, I played this one in real life one time in Mesquite. And other than some vegetation that's missing, they got this course spot on.
And it was one of the early ones as well. Like, this isn't like a new course.
I think it's the first or second downloadable course they offered. Yeah. And I remember the course has so many hills on it that people's golf carts die on it all the time. It's an insane course to play.
Would you say they captured the feel of it then?
They did. They really did. You know, shooting over all the canyons, and it's a tough, really, really tough course.
Awesome. Well, sweet. Well, I think that cements that into S tier. And we're going to head over to Kapalua Plantation course. Signature hole, 18th hole, 677-yard par 5. The view down the 18th fairway and out to the ocean has become iconic since the PGA Tour started kicking off the season at Kapalua's stunning Plantation course. Now, this is one of the last ones that I have not played. Shoes, I feel like you've done a lot on this one, so I'd love to hear your opinion on Kapalua Plantation.
Front 9, super interesting, great elevation changes. For me, immersion's huge, right? I'm on the Quest 3, you know, it feels immersive, right? It's a beautiful course, super lush. I mean, you really feel like you're in Hawaii. I will say the back 9, not as exciting as the front, but still great. A lot of shorter holes. The 18th hole, super fun. A long par 5. The crowds are cheering. And I love the fact that you can see parking lots with cars. I think that was one of the first courses that they added that. I mean, again, it just adds to that immersion, right? Which I'm all about. So A for me.
A tier for Shoes. Pal, what do you think?
S. I remember number 8, I think it's number 17 or 18 that had like a 700-yard par 5. It was
18.
Number 18? Okay. That hole
18.
was super memorable, and it's the prettiest one. I think it might be the prettiest course in the game.
Forrest, what do you think? A tier?
I'm right there with Pal. No, I go S tier. And I've only played it once or twice, but it made such a huge impression on me with all of the elevation changes. It is beautiful. Pal and I, for a long time, were saying, man, I wish I would add like one of these Hawaii courses, you know, something to change things up. And then they did, and they crushed it. So I really, really like it.
Does anybody think that Scottsdale should be above Kapalua Plantation?
No.
Nope.
All right, I'm tossing that one in S tier, and I'm leaving Scottsdale at the top of A, at least for now. And now we're getting to the oldest golf course in the world, at the old course at St. Andrews. The 17th is the road hole and is arguably the most famous hole in all of golf. St. Andrews, I'm going to... Oh, yep, go Shoes.
I was going to say, here's my oof. I mean, look, I'm not a golf head. I get the history behind it. It's a unique course with huge greens and fairways. I mean, what is this, the first course, Pal? Correct me if I'm wrong. Like the birthplace of golf.
Oh yeah, it's the very first course ever, I think.
Right. I mean, the pot bunkers were cool.
Yeah.
Not as challenging as I thought it'd be to kind of get out of them. Probably harder in real life, right? Unique course. I just didn't have any fun on it. It was good looking because it's one of the later courses. They kind of started cleaning up the graphics. You know, C tier for me.
Forrest, what do you think?
It's another hard D. It's the only other D I have besides Pinehurst. I agree with pretty much what Shoes is saying. It's if you're like a golf head, if you're, you love the history of it, you might appreciate it more so. But from just a fun perspective, it doesn't really offer any. The coolest thing about it is that the greens are absolutely massive, which isn't
Yeah.
actually fun. It's just sort of interesting.
Yeah.
But the pot bunkers are kind of cool. But other than that, it's super basic. You could tell it's one of the first courses. They hadn't really figured out what makes an interesting golf course yet.
Pal, what do you think? We got a C and a D. Where are you putting it?
I think it's closer to a B. I liked it a lot. It was an S tier until everybody got in my head and pointed out all the negatives, and they're kind of right. It is boring, but it's the history really gets to me, and I love the greens because you know how there's sometimes 2 holes on a green.
Yeah.
One hole, hole one.
That is interesting.
It's interesting,
cool.
But it doesn't make it for that. It's not that fun. It's interesting.
I love it because I never missed a green. I love it. I'm so good. But yeah, I can see why everybody is. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably in the minority.
I definitely the history I don't care too much about, but the actual the uniqueness of it I did like. It's not. I wouldn't call it. I don't know. I wouldn't call it variety. I would just call it. It's so different from all the other ones. It's kind of the opposite effect of all the TPCs. Where it's just something that's totally different. Whether or not it's fantastic, I don't think so. So I had it at the back of B tier. I think that based on everyone's opinion, I'm gonna put it up front on C tier in front of Valhalla and Pinehurst #2, at least for now.
I like that.
All right, let's head over to one of the most iconic courses out there, which is Pebble Beach. 18th hole is a 543-yard par 5. And the 7th hole is 109 yards. There are very few holes in championship golf that are under 110, and even fewer are as well respected. Pebble Beach was released right before the last video that I did. It's one of my absolute favorites. I have not played Scottsdale or Kapalua. And so for me, I had put it right behind Wolf Creek in S tier. But I'm interested to see if y'all end up putting it into the A or B tier or even lower. Pal, what do you think?
S tier. It's one of my favorite ones. It's right below Wolf Creek and Kapalua. God, trying to Pebble Beach. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I played this one in real life too.
That's awesome. I've seen it in real life. I've driven up the coast and gone by it. It's a gorgeous area.
I just wish they redid it. They remastered it because this was one of the first DLCs to come out. If they remastered it, it would be incredible because they really did capture the feeling of it. It's easily top 2 toughest courses in the game, right next to Wolf Creek, I think.
Shoes, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna bring us down, or are you gonna keep it up in S?
Well, here's what I agree with Powell that the graphics were really up and down for me.
Yeah.
At times it looked full and lush, and the setting was spectacular, but at other times it was super sparse and low res. Every hole by the coast was interesting, which was the middle of the course holes, but the other holes were mediocre in my mind. Kind of when you got away from that course, except 18, of course. That 7th hole signature, incredible. You could play that multiple times over and just have fun with that. 18, just fantastic. So for me, unique course, 2 of the best signature holes in all of golf. It really, to me, leans on the coast for interest. And the other outside course holes were really straightforward. A good time overall. I still give it an A. I mean, it's fantastic. It didn't cusp that S for me.
You can actually graphics the beach too.
What was that, pal?
You can actually hit from the beach too, which is different from every other course in the game. I think that's the only one that offers that. So that par 3, there's that par 3 where you can hit it off the right side and it dribbles down to the beach. So you have to hit it all the way up the mountain to get it onto the green. It's kind of fun.
I've definitely done that before. Forrest, what do you think? You can decide. Is it S or high A?
I have it as an A tier. I think if they did remaster it and up the visuals a bit, it could pretty easily be an S tier. But I agree with Shoes. It's the middle of the course is great. There's lots of really interesting and fun holes there, and the fairway on 9 and 10 are actually difficult because even though they're relatively wide, they have a huge slope to them that you could easily roll off the side, especially if you hit the ball far. So you might even want to specifically aim for the rough just to prevent yourself from rolling off into danger. But it's not the best, but it's far from the worst. Like I said, it's pretty much on the cusp between A and S, but I have it as A right now just because Kapalua came out and I feel like just did it better, more or less what it was doing.
Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. With the new beach stuff that you're seeing at Kapalua, now you look back at Pebble and it's like, dang, I wish it had what Kapalua had with the aesthetics. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll drop that in A, and we're going to head over to TPC Sawgrass, par 3, 137-yard, 17th hole, known as the Island Green, one of golf's most recognizable and difficult courses. I have not played Sawgrass myself, so Pal, you want to start us out? What do you think about Sawgrass?
This is one of my favorites. Might be the best one. Top 5 at least. This is also the first one they started adding alligators to the courses.
I do love alligators.
And I think it's the most lush one in the game. And really narrow fairways. So if you miss a fairway, you're going to be in the woods. Greens are tough. I love this course.
All right, Forrest, talk to me. What do you think? Sawgrass? Overrated?
Yeah, I agree. No, definitely not. I love Sawgrass. I'm right there with Pow. It's S tier for me. It's just a really fun course. Like you said, narrow fairways, so it punishes you. You could very easily end up in the trees. It's got a lot of water features that are pretty expertly placed to make it difficult and sort of give you a risk-reward challenge for a lot of them. And it's a beautiful course. It's a lot of fun to play. I've got nothing negative to say about it. It's S tier.
Choose? You going to stop the S tier train?
I don't want to, belabor the point. It's such a unique and challenging course. Sand traps of varying sizes, shapes, locations. They're peppered everywhere. Water hazards that vary from lakes that either force you to be bold, hit it straight, or play it safe and go left and right. That Island Green lives up to its name. Super exciting. There's simply no other course like it. There's unique challenges on almost every hole. For me, it's a winner top to bottom, and it looks great too. It's S tier. It's the top of my list.
Is anyone going to combat that it should be above or below Wolf Creek? Shoes has it at the top.
I think it's probably better than Wolf Creek. I might rank it higher than Wolf Creek.
They're kind of a toss-up. Wolf Creek is still my favorite, but Sawgrass is, it deserves to be second there for sure. There's nothing outside Wolf Creek. There's nothing that beats it, I think.
All right. Well, from the feeling that I'm getting, it seemed like we have one person who's solidly on it going in front of Wolf Creek, one person solidly right behind it, and then one person in between. I'm gonna give the newer course TPC Sawgrass time in the spotlight and put it at the front of S tier.
Boom.
All right, Riviera Country Club is up next. I lost my notes. Here they are. 6th hole, 175 yards, par 3. The 6th hole at Riviera is one of the most famous golf holes in the world due to one single feature, a bunker square in the middle of the green. Shoes, what do you think about Riviera?
Oh, Riviera. Really great graphics. Lots of awesome touches. They have golf carts, buildings, houses, practice greens. I mean, you're again, immersion. Huge for me, right? Those tight fairways make for a fun and challenging play throughout the full 18. Now, there isn't any water, but the bunker placement's really interesting. And the crowd makes it really immersive. Fun 18. Nothing too crazy. It's just a good time. A tier for me. Really great stuff.
I have mine ranked at the very bottom of S. I just think everything it was hitting right at the top. Kind of similar to me with Pebble Beach, which is just like everything was really consistent. It was beautiful. It had a lot of variety. It had a lot of difficulty in it. I think given the list that we have so far, I'd probably put it at the top of A tier, just right past Pebble Beach. Force, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it's a great course. I don't really have anything negative to knock on it. It looks beautiful. It's a lot of fun. I have it as an A tier as well.
Pal?
Top of B tier for me. I like it a lot. Pretty course, but I don't like how it doesn't have any water.
Oh, it has
to
no
me,
water.
Adds so much.
The man needs water features.
I need some water.
That's what you get for living in the desert. Well, given Pal's B tier ranking, I'm going to toss it below Pebble Beach, obviously keeping it an A tier based on the conversation, but ahead of TPC Scottsdale, and Southwind. All right, we're getting into the last 5. Alpine is up next, which I believe is one of the fake courses that we have. All 3 of the next ones are the fake courses that were created originally with Golf Plus and by the Golf Plus team. Alpine for me was, at the time of my last video release, was pretty middle of the pack of all the golf courses available in golf VR games. Across eClub and Plus, but now for me, given all the releases, all the incredible stuff, it is maybe the most C-tier course that exists. You know, Pal, any opinions?
Yeah, it's kind of a shame because it's actually a really fun course.
It is.
I probably played that one the most in the entire game. That one in Castle. It would actually be pretty nice if they remastered all the original courses like Alpine, Castle, and whatever the other one is, Cliffs. But probably, yeah, C tier.
C tier shoes.
Yeah, I mean the fact that was one of the early ones, you know, the backgrounds were pretty blurry. You're kind of encased in these mountains, so you kind of feel like you're in a bowl. I mean, just overall, I mean, it's a good course for beginners. Nothing too inspired. You know, the front 9's a little more interesting. The back 9 is something a beginner could play and enjoy it, and not have a too tough time of it. But when you look at all these other courses that are out there, for me, this just falls in D. It's pretty low on the list. Low D.
Forrest, what do you think? Alpine, any saving graces?
It's definitely a beginner course, like you said. You could tell that it was one of their first, but I don't really have any negative issues to it. It doesn't look great, although I do like the mountain atmosphere, and it's got, you know, some interesting holes to it. Like Pao said, it's probably one of the ones I've played the most just because it's been in the game the longest, but it has moved pretty steadily down the list as new ones have come out that have just outshone it. But it's not like terrible or unfun to play, so I put it solid C.
All right, do we think that it should be above or below St. Andrews? Shout it out.
Above.
But below.
Pal? Below? I am also going to go below, so I'm going to toss it down there, and I'm actually going to move Pinehurst number 2 to D tier, as the C tier is starting to rack up a few courses. Now we're on to the second fake course in the 3, which is Castle Links. This was originally one of my favorite courses. It was probably the first course. I remember playing Cliffs and enjoying it. I remember playing Alpine and enjoying it whenever the game first started releasing full courses. Castle Links is what hooked me for quite a bit. To me, it was just gorgeous at the time. This was before Wolf Creek, this was before Pebble Beach came out or any of the follow-ups. That was absolutely gorgeous. And now it does kind of, as far as graphics go, it's pretty middle of the pack, if not a little behind. But I still think it's a really fun course. For me, I put it high B, maybe back of B, given its age. But I'd love to hear what you think, Force.
I have it between C and B. I agree. It was definitely one of the prettiest ones early on with the sort of sunset going on. And it does have a lot of interesting features to it. I like how generally when I play, there's a lot of wind there, which can lead to some extremely long tee shots, especially with a lot of the fairways being sloped downward. You know, there's a lot of height variation between them, so you could get a run and just that thing will run 400 yards, you know. So it's an interesting one. It's fallen back a bit as far as beauty as newer courses have come out, but it's still pretty fun, pretty interesting. And yeah, I have it low B, high C. You know, it's sort of moved to the middle of the pack, but it's still a fun course.
Pal, you said this is one of the ones that you've played the most of, probably across time playing Golf Plus. What are your opinions on it?
I'm high B. I'm like you. I like this one a lot. And what Force, I was going to say exactly what Force said. With the wind, it's best to play this with high wind settings. It really changes the course up. So if you're hitting into the wind, you'll hit it 200 yards maybe, because the fairway will be sloped down and it'll just roll right back down the hill. I like the graphics a lot. I'm a big fan of this one still. This is the one I played most of the old ones.
Well, Shoes, what do you have to say about it?
I'm perfectly lined up with Forrester on this one. It's a really wide open course, nice architecture in the background. Even though like the grass doesn't look that great up close, you really feel immersed in the world. Lots of different levels of elevation, so you really feel like you're on a course. Especially like their hole 7 par 3 You're right next to the coast. There's fog coming up over the sea. There's this steep downhill, and it just felt cool, right? I think you're playing this for the environment, and it does still hold up, even though it was done so early. I think they did a really good job. But for me, the course doesn't raise, the fun level doesn't go past the low B or high C for me.
All right, y'all, I need a shout out. Are we going to put it above or below Kiawah? I, of course, am going below Kiawah. But what are y'all's opinions?
I'm below.
I'm above. I think they're pretty neck and neck, but I would inch it out above.
Powell,
I'd probably go above.
Oh man, we got the.
I like Kiawah a lot.
All right, well, I'm gonna have to streamer choice it and put it below Kiawah because I love Kiawah so much, and I think that me and Powell definitely have some nostalgia going into Castle Links. With that said, I am going to move Olympia Fields to the front of C tier in front of St. Andrews, and I am looking at moving either Alpine or Valhalla down to D tier. What are the opinions? Alpine or Valhalla?
I think
Alpine down under Valhalla.
Oh, Alpine's terrible.
All right, there we go. Alpine's going under. It is going ahead of Pinehurst #2, and we're going into the last fake one, which is Cliffs. I think probably most people's first course they played whenever they got Golf Plus, as it's one of the ones that you open up into whenever you start the game. For me, it was just a little bit above the rest of the pack. I think it is a gorgeous course. It was a great idea to use the cliffs because that's just not something that people would be able to do if they, without a helicopter at least, to go between each of the courses. So it is one of those things that you can only really do in VR, which is super cool to see. I would love to hear Shu's opinion on cliffs.
Oh, I'm right there with you. Sparse graphics, few trees, but you're on this like cool island, right? The environment feels refreshing. There's this cool waterfall that a lot of holes focus around playing, and it's just water hazards everywhere. So you really got to dial in your shots. It's a good beginner challenge, and it's just a nice front nine, great elevation, and it's just a fun course. So it's refreshing. I like it. I give it a B.
All right, Forrest, what do you think? Cliffs.
Yeah, I agree with Shoes completely. I would love for them to do a remaster of it and up the visuals a bit, because there are parts of it where it's like, man, that
water's clearly
rough. Yeah, and some of it's rough. Some of that grass is like, man, that's grass isn't even really that green. Like it's almost cartoony in the way it's presented. But I do really just enjoy the course. I give it's B tier for me because you have to be able to hit the ball straight. Water everywhere. It does give you sort of risk-reward opportunities in places where you have to decide whether or not you'd rather hit your shorter, straighter club versus risking it and, trying to really capitalize. But it's just a fun, great course. I think they did a good job with this one.
If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching all the way through. The end of the recording did get clipped in the corruption. However, I do have the final tier list, which you can see here. Ultimately, Cliffs ended up being kind of right down the middle. Everyone enjoyed it. It was fun. It has a lot of nostalgia for people who played Golf Plus prior to the big DLC run that they have been doing over the past year. And then the two that came out, Bay Hill Club, which came out second to last, and then Harbour Town came out most recently, very recently. And only Shoes has played Harbour Town, so we just have to take his word for it. Both of them kind of run in that C tier level. Bay Hill Club especially being very boring, only just a little better than St. Andrews, which most people will say are only in the tier list just because it's a classic. It's a classic of the golf world, but doesn't offer too much interesting. Harbour Town is just a little better, leads the pack of C tier, but ultimately the ones in S and A and even B are the ones that most people kind of come back to when it comes to playing Golf Plus. Thank you again. If you are interested in stuff like this and golf videos in the future, let me know.